This is the cheap flight adventure to Bratislava in Slovakia, and let's get this started with an absolutely awesome 2.5 metre a second cone ecodisc MR 2:1 MX18 in a tall tower. And let's get on top it. And along we go to the centre of Bratislava, and along we go to the first lift, typical sort of older lift that you find in Bratislava. And now along to the next lift, which is Schindler D series with simple 2-speed levelling. And along to the next lift, which is a typical older Slovakian lift. And let's open it up, and there's no inspection control. Looks like in Slovakia they didn't care that much about health and safety before they joined the EU, and they didn't put inspection controls on top of lifts, and the top of this lift looks in a right state. So along we go to the next lift, which is a Schindler 3300 with capacitive buttons with keypad floor selection. It's very interesting.
Okay, one's as high as I can go. One's off.
And along to the next lift, very interesting hydraulic lift. The way they've arranged it with the metal beams of the shaft are right close to the door, so the lift is sort of pulled just from the front of the lift, meaning there's actually very little to the shaft on the upper floors. But sadly, this lift wasn't working. And along to the next lift, which is a Schindler 3300 with capacitive buttons. This one has regular buttons, not keypad floor selection. and along to this weird art installation. And along to the next Schindler 3300, which has failing capacitive buttons.
Press firmly on the circle. The capacitive button is not working very well.
And along we go to the housing estate south of Bratislava. And it's what it looks like. Lots of tower blocks everywhere. It looks absolutely epic. This is precisely the sort of housing estate I like to see when I go to foreign countries. Although it would have been better if the buildings were taller, but nevertheless it looks awesome. And along we go to the lifts, which are some absolutely epic old Slovakian lifts. They've got inner doors which you have to close by hand, and it feels like there's a pressure sensor on the lift, so when you're inside the lift you have to make sure the inner doors are shut, but you don't have to shut the doors when you leave the lift because you can call it on the outside with the inner doors open.
Oh fuck, this is really dodgy.
And sadly, to open up these lifts, it requires a screwdriver. Oh, but I only had my triangle key on me. If I had a minus sign screwdriver, I could have opened this. Oh, it'd be so epic to get on top of these lifts. So now we go to a little shopping centre, the housing estate, which has a Thyssenkrupp. And now to the next lift surf, which is a really nice posh Schindler 5500, which goes 3 meters a second. And now we go along to the lift in Tesco's. This Tesco shop is very weird. Not just a Tesco's, but an entire department store. And Tesco's itself is on the basement. And the layout of this Tesco's is very, very confusing. But the lifts are very interesting. They've got some extremely nice, about 1.3 meter a second, 2-speed leveling, nice old Slovakian lifts. They are epic. And along we go to the bridge, which has a 3 metre a second 1990s Otis funicular. This funicular goes up a very steep angle, going up about 2.5 metres for every 1 metre sideways. It's got tracks on the side, so it is actually a funicular rather than an inclined lift. And as with a lot of Otis funiculars, they sort of don't run that well and do rattle an awful lot.
Okay.
And here is the top of the bridge viewpoint. So then, back to the 3 metre a second Otis funicular and safety brake! It turns out that the inner doors of this funicular do not lock. In fact, it's very easy to actually open up the inner doors, and due to the shape of the bridge leg that its funicular goes up, there's a massive drop outside of the doors. Any lift where there's a big drop outside the doors should have the inner doors locking, but the inner doors don't lock at all. And as it's so easy to open the inner doors, anyone could lean against the doors in this funicular. The doors would come flying open and they could fall down the shaft. Not very safe at all. And with these doors open, I thought I managed to film a good view showing the funicular tracks and how this funicular works, but for some reason my phone didn't record this, which is very annoying. And now along to the building next to the bridge, which has some really nice 2.5 metre a second eco discs. And now we go to the trams. Firstly, here's a little bit of the street where you can actually see the tram tracks, and a lot of the rails for the trams don't actually look in that good condition. In several places you get a straight built tramway and the tram tracks look slightly wobbly, and some of the trams here are quite a bit run down, which gives it a lot of character. First we go along to the new trams. The new trams are not very interesting. There's two versions of the new tram, some with doors on just one side, but on the route that goes slightly south of Bratislava to the housing estate, there's doors on both sides as there's no turnaround. On this section of the tramway is dual gauge, standard gauge and meter gauge, but the standard gauge has not been used for a very long time, and if you look at the points, it's no longer possible to run a standard gauge tram on this tramway. So let's take a ride on one of the new trams, which doesn't sound particularly interesting.
Nasleduje zastávka URBEX.
And now we go along to the epic old trams. I'm going to upload a full video of these because they're just absolutely epic. These are very run down and are right bone shakers and are just brilliant. This is precisely the sort of tram I want to see when I go to a foreign country. These are so interesting and these are so characterful, and the pulsing on these is just epic. When it speeds up, it's got standard style DC pulsing that sounds really epic. When it slows down, what the fuck is going on? The pulsing is so weird when it slows down, when it's generating back from the motor. And along to the next type of tram, which is a slightly different looking Skoda tram. This one, the pulsing is slightly more regular.
Nasleduje zastávka Malé Krasňany.
And there's also a sort of 80s, 90s tram. This one's not so interesting.
Máte kartu?